It's your yummy update time. It's your yummy update time. What is going to happen in 2026?
Bringing fear, they're bringing disbelief, they're cheaters, and some, I assume, are good people.
Thank you to Mr. Custard. Mr. Custard, man. Friends, Mr. Custard has been going hard. Mr. Custard has been absolutely destroying Grok. Okay, making Grok work overtime as our overlords. That's funny. What's going to happen in crypto 2026? We have both the US Fed and the US government actively engaging the US economy to run hot, H-O-T, hot, 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 okay? Hot nipples too. It's very likely as well we're going to get yield curve control, YCC, which involves the Fed printing money to do QE in the long end bonds. I remember when I was trading, they had Operation Twist, Ben Bernanke. I had no one knew how the hell it worked. There was no YouTube videos or anything out back then. It was just, weird stuff going on, and no one understood in Main Street, right? Main Street land, normie land. So yield curve control, just to tell you, friends, I'll tell you what they do. They manipulate the yield curve. Okay, so remember, you have the yield curve. I'll just give you a flat example. You've got like the 2-year bond, right? So it's money that's owed in 2 years, and then you have the 10-year bond, for example. The 2 and the 10. So normally, of course, if you're going to lend for 10 years, maybe you want 5%. Yeah. And if you lend for 2 years, you're only going to get like 3%. But what the US Treasury will do is, this is priced. Let's say the 2% yield point is actually for the 10-year is like up here. Let's say this is where it is, because remember, it's not priced in terms of the yield. So if this goes up, the yield goes down, all right? So what they will do is they print money and they set like a giant bid. They go, hey, guess what? We're not going to let this price go below here. So what they do is, remember QE, all right? So QE is where the normal one that we do the mortgage-backed stuff, where they print money and they hit market. They actually go to the market and they just buy. They buy at market. They actually attack the offer. They grab it off the market, off the shelf. Okay, this yield curve control would be different. Yield curve control will be, as this thing moves up, what they'll do is they will put a giant brick wall and they go, guess what? We will buy infinite amount of bonds if you dare to sell it under here. We will actually buy any of it. So then obviously no one dies to buy it, so they bring it up again. And they go, guess what? We're now going to put an infinite amount of bids here. And so they go, okay, do it again. And guess what, friends? This area might eventually be like 3%. Okay. So then you might say, but what's the whole point of that? Well, what ends up happening is if you get a 2-year bond and it's 3%, and also the 10-year bond is 3%, they've done financial alchemy, right? Why would you want the same amount of yield when you're taking on all those extra years of risk? Well, that's why everybody in the market goes and they go, oh, I know. That means I should invest. That's what ends up happening, because you can't get 5% in the long run in your 10 years. You can only get 3. So now that I know that doesn't sound like big numbers, but what ends up happening is if you have trillions of dollars to throw in, they have to make up for that difference. What do? Buy stocks. They invest in stuff. They take out more loans. They try to take on more risk. So that's eventually what is probably what's going to come around. Okay. It will entice everyone to take on more risk, purchase capital equipment, and crank up manufacturing in the AI race. So you got to think about this, friends. If the 10-year, let's actually look at the real yield. I've actually got the real yield here. It's 4%. It's exactly 4%. Okay, so what I've done is type in US 10Y. It's actually 4%. So what ends up happening is I've inverted the chart. I've inverted the chart so you can see it. So it's 4%. This is what the bond price actually looks like, right? So this is at 4%, 3.5%, 3. So 4% is pretty good, right? If you got like $100 billion, you're like, cool, I want $4 billion. But what the government will do is, obviously the US Fed, right? Kevy Boo, if they gobble up these 4% and they make the bonds only give 3%, all right? Well, that is a huge, what that's doing is, if you can only get 3% in the long run, if an AI data center return on investment is like 18, that looks so much more juicy. That's huge. You know what I mean? It's further enticing you to take on more risk. Okay, it's making the discrepancy between the US government risk-free cash return versus investments it's widening than out there. Also, that makes crypto pump. Just to let you know, friends, you can invert the yield. I've shown you charts where as the yield goes down for bonds, crypto goes up. Yeah, because if you're getting 0% from a government bond, you got to think about this, friends. If someone has, let's say you had $1 million, yeah. If the government, let's do an extreme example. If the government, let's say right now you can get 4%, 10 years. But if they bring it to 0, you're like, oh crap, how do I make you remember you have $1 million? How do you make your $40,000 a year? Okay. Now you don't go invest the entire 1 million into crypto, but you might be inclined. You go, guess what? I'm going to take like $20,000 of this 1 million and try to make it 2x. Yeah. Do you see how they've taken your money? You've inserted it somewhere. You've taken more risk to try and make, because if you take your 20,000, you make it 2x, you get 40 grand. That's your 4% yield. Okay. But you haven't got it through the government bonds. Okay. So that's the whole point of it. But right now, the economy is tight. Right now, the rates are too high. That's why we definitely, look, there's no definites in this world except you and I are definitely friends. But if they did cut rates, I don't think we're going to see much inflation. I think people are just going to be like, oh, thank God I can breathe now. I think that's what we'll feel like. The US Fed did a secret bailout for bank scum who were shorting silver. The CME turned off the service in emergency panic. So, friends, as you got to see, so silver goes parabolic, which I can show you here. Silver, friends, going literally parabolic here, right? Silver going absolutely wild. And the CME, this is, friends, they're very dodgy. That's why we made crypto in the first place. So this is silver going parabolic. The CME futures, they halt trading. Okay, so this is, look, we've known all this. What they do is they manipulate gold and silver through the ETFs. Yeah, because the ETFs, friends, this is what always the fear of the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF is. Because with the ETFs, I'll tell you what they did with gold over time. They give you a lot of advantages to hold their paper ETF. Okay, so you get more margin credits. You can take loans on it. You get a lower borrowing cost when it comes to your home. You can trade with it. You can use it for many things. They automatically do your accounting for you. You don't have to do anything, right? But if you have spot, it's a nightmare. They really don't want you to own spot gold and silver. They don't want you to buy it because they can't manipulate it, right? So you have to do more reporting. It's annoying. It costs more money. Okay, so that's what they do over time. And guess what? It does work. Retail are like, oh, I'm just here to make a quick dollar anyway. I don't really want to leave the financial system, so I'll just leave it in my my Fidelity account or whatever. But the CME, friends, turned off the servers in emergency panic, and then the Fed injected $23 billion shortly after. We don't think it's a coincidence. Okay, so obviously what's happening is some of these big banks, friends. Welcome to the real world, dude. Like, just if you're a blue pill cuck, just good luck. I'm just telling you good luck, because this is how the real world works. Okay, the financial system is not as free as we think. Okay, for the US government, this is their world reserve currency, man. They manipulate gold and silver so that they don't go too high too much. How do they do it? They give, this is, friends, on the CME, to get credit on the CME, you can put in US dollars. And guess who prints the US dollars? The US Fed. So they print US dollars, they give them to Goldman Sachs, they give them to JP Mosquito, they give them to all the other bug eater deep state banks, they give them credits, and then their traders, insiders, they'll just put on massive shorts. So as silver and gold are creeping up, these guys just keep getting short. They cap it over time, okay? It doesn't mean it's not allowed to never move, but it's controlled with how they move. That's why, friends, that's why everybody knows this in retail land. That's why they lined up to go buy gold and silver. Buy gold in the gold rally, because they go, oh, it's China's central bank buying. Boom, you got cucked by China's central bank too. So that's just a dirty game. It's not really a dirty game, friends. They manipulate gold and silver through the ETFs. This is the biggest news. But like you say, it's not dirty, man. Like, if I put you in front of a nation and you have a currency and you have to maintain power, this is like your only option is to do that. Because if you don't do that, if there's a runaway bid on the currency, then people start to ask questions about what's going on. Ethereum, friends, has an impressive rounded base. Check this chart out. This is Ethereum, an extended, very extensive base that we've had here very, very, very long. Okay, I'm hoping, and you're hoping, that we start to move up Ethereum $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. I know those numbers sound stupid, but you got to think about it, friends. If we're having a right extended cycle, if we're going to continue, and they've made us go this bad for this long, like, it can only mean that the pump into space is going to be huge. Remember, big base, big pump into space. Also, shout out to my friend Mr. Crypto Firehub for posting this as well. The longer the base, the higher the pump into space. That's it. Trump candy coming 2026 and stablecoin supercycle. Now, friends, I want to tie something in here for you. Sometimes it's nice we step out of the chart and we look at the world, right? We try to see, like, hey, just move outside the charts and crypto and the RSI indicators. What does the story look like it's playing out to be? Well, it looks like the world is going to play out such that China and America are in an AI chipset race to increase the robots, to increase their productivity, and that's going to be continuing. It doesn't seem likely to me that America's going to let its AI bubble pop here and reset 2 or 3 years and let China overtake, okay? A lot of these things are controlled, okay? Now, also, friends, this also is going to tie into red pilling yourself. So, unfortunately, do you know there was that recent unfortunate murder of this lady, Sarah Beckstrom? So, Sarah Beckstrom was Googled in Israel 4 days before the shooting. Okay, she was Googled, right? And a lot of people have come out. So some people have come out, obviously fake news area, trying to say that no, it's fake, it's a bug, people are trolling. No, they're not. It's real, friends. People. There's actual videos and recordings of people doing it before it's actually deleted. And this is not the first time it's happened. It's happened multiple times. Okay, so they also did this with Charlie Kirk and his planned assassination. So I think the overall scope is there is a script. Okay, I don't know who controls the script. We don't know who controls. Is it a cabal? Obviously, we think it's something like a lot of people use the word occult, magic, some sort of other dimension. I don't know what it is. Okay, there is a script. There is undoubtedly a script. You've seen too many things by now. Remember Charlie Kirk and the book. Remember the movie made Snake Eyes with Nicolas Cage. Do you know the same thing with Titanic? In the late 1800s, someone wrote about a ship, is literally called the Titan, which gets hit by an iceberg, and it's literally the Titanic sinking as well, these big world events. We also saw it with Trump. Remember that guy made that book like 100 years ago about the adventures of Barron and Trump? And there was Barron, there was Donald Trump, there was Trump Tower in the story. So we don't know if they're glitches in the matrix, but there's some sort of script here, okay? The world is a stage. We are in a simulation matrix of sorts. Let's bring out the popcorn for 2026. So I think it's very obvious, friends. Look, you get to see right now, Blue Pill Cucks is not going to make it. Part of the programming in the story going ahead, I feel like, everything I'm saying is I feel like we've got a good family-friendly grip on it, okay? Not choke it too hard because we've got a very fluffy microphone. Family-friendly grip. Also give you a good sniff too. So they're going to run the economies hot. Politicians, friends, they don't come out and do these outrageous lies. Just to let you know, politicians, I know you can't trust them, but they don't come out and tell the population, we're going to do this and then do something else, like all together, because that'll create fear and panic in us, and then we get a revolution. We just flip the table overnight. So they're saying they're going to run the economy hot. Donald Trump said he's going to, Kevin Hassett, he's going to drop interest rates. Kevin Hassett, friends, the new US Fed major loser powers replacement, he said the rates should be closer to 2%. Oh, yeah. That's good. But I honestly think it should be 2. I think it should be 2. If we're tight by 50 basis points, okay, if we drop 50 basis points, now we're neutral, and you drop another 50, now you're a bit dovish, and then maybe another 50, you're kind of like accelerating a bit. That's what I think would be. And the AI race war is happening. The AI, the chipsets and NVIDIA and everything going on here, America versus China. I feel like we're really going to get a melt up. We're going to build into this melt up. But for good reason as well. Also, for him to think about all of these, Trump is stopping the immigration, third world country migration, which I reported for you yesterday. That is extremely powerful in terms of slowing down inflation. Yeah, it really is in the short term. Okay, in the short term. Now, in the long term, a lot of the economists will say you get higher inflation. Why? Because all these third world migrants, they're the cheap labor that make items cheap because they cost so little to hire them. And so, but if you don't have them in 5 or 10 years, what the economists or the nerds will say, they'll say, oh, you're going to get higher inflation because now you only have expensive workers who are making your goods and you can't make cheap items anymore. But that's why you got to think, man, do you think all the politicians are really that stupid? They're going to sink American country? No. Most likely what's happening is they know behind the scenes the acceleration of robotics, AI, quantum, these things are going exponential. And so they've seen the chart and they're like, okay, we don't need to put all these third world migrants in right now because we're going to have these robots out 5 years, 7 years, 8 years. Because every immigrant we bring in, they're going to have kids. It's going to take another 18 to 20 years. It's inflationary. We're going to buck the trend. Okay, so that's why, friends, it just comes down to a matter of belief. Do you think they're really going to let this thing go to zero? I don't think so, dude. No way. Not yet. But we must still do some heavy lifting with all of these. This is where we are, friends, a channel of friendship. A lot of people believe we're going to crack lower. Okay, this is where we are. 4-year cycle FUD, Miski index removal FUD, bear market confirmed FUD. We're moving into year of the horse. It just looks like, friends, I'll just take that into account, what I talked to you about the yield curve control. That's what's coming next. That's a soft QE, okay? It's a soft QE. It's manipulating the yields. It forces investment. It gets everything cranking, and then we'll deal with the mess later. Like, subscribe, belly button, all. Catch you in the next one.